My name is Jabrea and I have cents of student loan debt. Here's how I'm going to pay it off. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while, but that's not what today's video is about. Today we're going to talk about my student loans and the plan I have to pay them off. We're going to go over everything from how I accumulated it, how much I have, the exact amount of the loans, and my plan to pay it off and why I am going to go hard on paying them off now. My goal, I should have started with, I have a goal to pay off my student loans before I turn 30. I'm currently 25, so I have 5 years to pay off these student loans. So without further ado, let's get right into it. If you see me looking down, it's because my notebook's right here with all my notes and things. It all started in 2019. That is when I began my undergraduate degree. I went to Indiana State University, and though I went out of state for school, it was still pretty affordable. I had a really good scholarship where basically all of the in-state tuition was covered and I wasn't taking out a lot in loans. And my second and third year, I wasn't taking out any loans whatsoever because I was an RA and I had my room and board paid for. So that was really nice. But in my last year, I decided that I didn't want to be an RA anymore, and I wanted to really enjoy my senior year of college after COVID interrupted the middle of it. I graduated in 2023, and a year later, I started my master's at American University in DC. I finished my master's 2 months ago in May, and they did give me some help with this, but I also took out a lot in student loans. Now let's move into the loan amounts. So how much I actually have in loans from each school. Before we begin, I will say I knew going into grad school that I wanted to pay off my loans. So when I was getting my loans for grad school, any refund that I got from those loans was going to Nelnet, my student loan servicer, to pay off what I already had. It just happened that way, that like I would take out some, and I thought it was enough to cover everything, but it was actually a little bit more. But I did the responsible thing and I put it straight back to my loans, something I cannot say about what I did in undergrad. So, but whatever, that's fine. So like I said, I went to ISU and I went to AU, and I think between the both of those, it's like between 7 to 11, loans. Let me see. Okay, it's 8, but I've paid off 2 of them. So 10 overall. The interest on these loans range from 2.75 to 8.08%. I know. Student loans should never be 8%, but that's a topic for another video. I'll go from smallest to largest. From ISU, I have a loan for $1,378.03. Another one for $3,339.08, $4,066.17, $5,521.28, and $5,567.62, for a total of $19,572.18 that I owe for my undergraduate degree that I completed 3 years ago. And now for my American University loans. My first one, it has 3 loans lumped in together. I'm not sure why it did this, but they're all together. And it is at $21,462.59. Crazy, I know. That actually is the one that's at 8%, and I'll get into later how I'm tackling that. The next one is $11,772.36, and the last one is $9,358.03. It pains me to say this, but on those last 2 loans, the $358 and the $772, that's pure interest. One of these, I think it said for the $11,000 one, I took it out in August of 2025. And so through then until now, almost a year, $770 worth of interest accrual. That's insane, but moving on. Bringing that to $42,592.98. Those balances include the interest, by the way. Bringing my full student loan balance to $62,165.16. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. A lot of this is an emotional decision. I don't like owing people things, especially money. So whenever I have like any sort of debt, I try to aggressively pay it down. Always wanted to pay off my debt even before I started grad school, even before I knew that I was going to grad school, but I just wasn't like serious about it. I did not put the effort in to do it. I did not like set automatic payments or even look at my finances to see what I could afford to put towards my student loans. And I also just want to free up my money. Right now, it's taking up a lot of headspace. It's taking up a lot of my disposable income. I know an argument when it comes to this discussion is to invest because your money would go further there. And I totally understand that. Like the math makes sense. But like I said, this is an emotional decision. And I also want to point out that one of my loans is over 7%, you know, the usual rate of return on investments or on the stock market. So I am losing money by like having this loan. Fun fact, the $20,000 loan from AU had gotten up to $1,000 in interest, over $1,000, almost $2,000 in interest. And I remember making a payment on that with my own money and all of it went to interest. And I was just like, yeah, I can't do that. That is my why. I want to get rid of this. I feel it looming over my head. I especially want to enter the next decade of my life without it. You know, your 20s are supposed to be like about building and things like that. I want to set myself up for a better financial future in my 30s and a better financial foundation to do all the things that I may want to do when I get there. But I do want to say I am still investing with my employer, retirement, and as well as some individual retirement accounts that I have on my own. So I have not completely disregarded investing. I'm still preparing for my future in that way. I just also view paying off my student loans as a way of doing that. I want to pay off these loans before I turn 30. It gives me 5 years or 60 months. At $62,000, that's roughly $1,000 a month. With my current salary at my full-time job, I'm able to put $400 towards them. So I need to make up that $600 difference. The only way to do that is to increase my income. I have to increase my income. The first way that I plan to make up that difference is to get a second job. I have started the search for a second job. I've applied to 6 of them actually as of yesterday, so someone's got to get back to me. The second way I plan to make up that difference is by building out a side hustle and or freelancing. The side hustle would be content creation, documenting this journey, but also other things that I like to talk about, which again will come later in another video. And for freelancing, I have experience in editing, copywriting, scripting, and a whole bunch of other things that I think could be really useful to people. I just have to put myself out there and search for the opportunities. There are also 2 other things that I want to implement to make sure that I can hit the $1,000 or more. The first is to watch my spending. I want to be intentional about my money routine. So that means tracking my spending, spending a little bit less, maybe not going out to eat as much or shopping as much, that sort of thing. Really reeling in my discretionary income because, like I said, it's all going to the loans. Yay! The second way is that any extra money I get goes to my debt. I'm talking birthday, gifts, Christmas. I have a graduation party coming up, and I can only assume that I will be getting money as a graduation present. A portion of that will most likely go to my debt. And I say most likely because I still want to be able to enjoy my life. I don't want to hate this period of my life. If it's going to take the 5 years, I don't want to hate my life for that entire 5 years. But I do want to be super intentional and disciplined when it comes to paying off my loans. Oh, I almost forgot. I talked about this a little bit earlier. The interest that had accrued on my $20,000 loan for my master's degree, it had gotten to $1,800 worth of interest. When I got my tax refund, which was about $1,800, it was enough to cover all of that interest except for maybe like $2, which I just covered myself. But all of that went to my loans. So that's what I mean when I say that extra debt goes to the loans. I also forgot to talk about the method that I'm using to pay down these loans. There's the debt avalanche and the debt snowball. I want to say that I'm using is the debt snowball where you pay the smallest loan amount first rather than going after the highest interest rate. Except I guess I'm blending these two, because I'm paying that smallest loan that I told you about, that's like $1,300, but I'm also making payments on the $20,000 loan because that is at 8% interest. And I want to do as much as I can to get that down. That one's really going to, that one out of all of them is probably going to be the one to like set me back or work against me the most. So I'm taking a blended approach and I'm paying down 2 loans at one time instead of paying instead of paying as a group. I think that's how it is. Like when you go to make a payment on your loans, you can pay by like the group or you can pay by the whole thing. Once I finish a $1,300 loan, since I'm using the debt snowball method, I would move to the $3,000 loan. Like the decision itself to pay down my student loans, I think that the method that you choose is also, it also has to do with the motion. So I might save money going after that highest interest loan, but if I don't see progress, I'm going to get down in the dumps and I'm going to feel really bad. So yes, that is the method that I'm following. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down in the comments, do you have student loans? And if so, are you paying them off? How much are they? I'm super nosy. And I feel like I let you in, so like you should let me in, you know what I'm saying? Also, if you are paying down your student loans, or even if you're not, consider liking this video and subscribing. I will need all the help I can get to make these $1,000 plus payments on my student loans. Help your girl out, please. But no, seriously, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.